The Apple A19 Pro, the perfectionist. The A19 Pro is the digital equivalent of that one kid in high school who reminded the teacher about the homework, infuriating, but undeniably ahead of everyone else. Built on a 3nm process so small that if you dropped a transistor, you'd need a microscope and a prayer to find it, this chip is all about single-core supremacy. While other chips try to win by shoving more cores into the frame like a clown car, Apple focuses on making 1 or 2 cores so fast they can calculate the meaning of life before you've even finished swiping right on Tinder. It features the new Fusion Core architecture, which sounds like something that would power a localized sun in a Bond villain's basement. In reality, it just means your phone won't melt while you're editing 4K ProRes video of your cat. The humor here is that 90% of users will use this world-ending power to scroll through TikTok 0.002 seconds faster than their neighbor. It's like using a SpaceX Falcon 9 to go to the grocery store for milk. It is over-engineered, elitist, and currently the fastest thing you can put in your pocket without getting a permit from the Department of Energy. Snapdragon 8 Elite, the gym rat. If the A19 Pro is the valedictorian, the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 is the guy at the gym who drinks raw eggs and screams at his own reflection. Qualcomm finally ditched the standard ARM blueprints and used their custom Orion cores. This chip doesn't care about efficiency in the traditional sense, it wants to push frames until your eyeballs hurt. Its Adreno GPU is so powerful that mobile games are starting to look better than reality, which is great because reality doesn't have ray tracing or a customizable HUD. The 8 Elite is the undisputed gaming king. It handles thermal throttling like a champ, meaning your phone won't turn into a baked potato after 20 minutes of Genshin Impact. It's designed for the person who treats their phone like a portable console and has zero intention of ever using it to actually make a phone call. It's fast, it's aggressive, and it has enough AI processing power to predict what you're going to type before you've even had your morning coffee. If you want a phone that feels like it's vibrating with pure, unadulterated caffeine, this is the silicon for you. MediaTek Dimensity 9500, the Chaos Agent. MediaTek used to be the budget option, the store brand cereal of chips. Not anymore. The Dimensity 9500 is built on an all-big core architecture, which is a polite way of saying they removed the brakes from the engine. Most chips have small, efficient cores for light tasks, like checking the time, and big cores for heavy lifting. MediaTek looked at that and said, what if every core was a monster? It's the equivalent of a car that only has a 5th gear. This makes it a multi-core beast. If you are the type of person who keeps 400 Chrome tabs open while rendering a video and playing a game in a floating window, the 9500 will not only do it, it will ask for more. The obscure humor here is that MediaTek is basically the underdog who showed up to the Olympics with a rocket strapped to their back. It's slightly less refined than Apple's offering, and it might run a bit warmer than a Snapdragon, but in terms of raw, how is this possible for this price? It's the king of the mid-cycle flagship. It's the chip for people who want to break benchmarks without breaking their savings account. Google Tensor G5, the actually I'm an artist. The Tensor G5 is the chip that would definitely have a philosophy degree and a collection of vintage film cameras. Google stopped trying to win the Speed Olympics years ago. Instead, they focused on making the G5 the smartest chip on the block. While the A19 is busy calculating math problems at light speed, the Tensor G5 is busy looking at a blurry photo of your blurry dog and deciding exactly how to make it look like a National Geographic cover. It's powered by Gemini Nano++, which sounds like a probiotic yogurt, but is actually a massive on-device AI model. This chip is why Pixels can translate languages in real time, erase strangers from your vacation photos, and screen your calls so effectively that even your mother can't get through. It's not the fastest in a drag race, and if you try to play the most demanding games at max settings, it might get a little existential, read warm. But for the person who wants their phone to feel like a sentient assistant, rather than just a calculator with a screen, the G5 is the only choice. It's the brainiest chip, even if it's not the brawniest. Apple A19 Standard, the middle child. The Standard A19 is the digital equivalent of a high-end luxury sedan. It's not a supercar, but it'll still do 150 miles per hour while you're listening to a podcast in total comfort. Apple has a habit of binning their chips, which is a fancy way of saying the A19 is often an A19 Pro that failed a few specific stress tests or had a GPU core disabled for being too spicy. It's built for the person who wants an iPhone because it just works, and who doesn't care that they're missing one extra core that only matters if you're trying to mine Bitcoin in the middle of a FaceTime call. The humor here is that this basic chip still eats most flagship Android processors for breakfast. It's incredibly efficient, meaning your battery will last long enough for you to regret every life choice you've ever made on a Friday night before the phone even hits 20%. It doesn't have the Fusion Core marketing buzz, but it has the same architectural DNA. It's the chip for people who want to be elite, but don't want to pay the Pro tax just to have a slightly smoother animation when they close the calculator app. Samsung Exynos 2500, the redemption arc. For years, the Exynos line was the participation trophy of mobile chips. Users would pray to the silicon gods that their region got the Snapdragon version instead. But the Exynos 2500 is Samsung's Rocky Balboa moment. Using their proprietary 3nm gate-all-around process, which sounds like a very expensive neighborhood association, they finally fixed the thermal issues that used to make their phones double as hand warmers in the winter. The secret sauce here is the collaboration with AMD. The GPU inside this thing is basically a tiny Radeon graphics card tucked behind your screen. It handles light tracing and complex textures with a level of grace that makes you forget Samsung once made a phone that was banned from airplanes. It's the chip for the Samsung loyalist who is tired of being the butt of the joke. It's fast, it's stable, and it finally proves that Samsung can cook in their own kitchen without burning the house down. It's a solid, reliable workhorse that finally deserves its spot in the flagship stable. Snapdragon 8 seconds, Gen 4, the efficiency expert. The S in 8 seconds Gen 4 stands for, well, nobody really knows, but let's assume it stands for sensible. This chip is the Diet Coke of the Snapdragon world. It has all the flavor of the 8 Elite, but none of the calories or battery drain. It's designed for those thin and light flagship phones that look like they'd snap in half if you sat on them. Because it doesn't run at the extreme clock speeds of its Elite brother, it doesn't require a cooling system the size of a radiator to keep from melting your palm. The irony of the 8 seconds Gen 4 is that for 95% of the population, it's actually a better chip than the top-tier flagship. You get nearly identical app opening speeds and a very capable GPU, but your phone stays cool enough that you don't feel like you're holding a piece of toasted sourdough. It's the chip for the aesthetic crowd, the people who want a phone that looks like a piece of jewelry but can still handle a frantic round of Call of Duty if they get bored at a wedding. It's the high-end experience for people who value ergonomics over ego. MediaTek Dimensity 9400 Plus, the reliable veteran. The Dimensity 9400 Plus is like a retired Special Forces operator who now spends his time winning local CrossFit competitions just to stay busy. It was the king of the hill last year, and in 2026 it has been refined, which usually means they just turned the clock speed up until it screamed. While it lacks the shiny 2nm dreams of the newest generation, it is arguably the most stable and battle-tested piece of silicon on this list. This chip is the secret weapon of the flagship killer market. It allows manufacturers to give you a 144Hz screen and 8K video recording without charging you a month's rent. The humor is that while tech influencers are fighting over 1% performance gains on the A19 Pro, the 9400 Plus is quietly powering millions of phones that run perfectly fine. It's the old reliable of the group. It's not going to win any beauty pageants, and it's not going to write a poem using AI, but it will let you play high-end games for 6 hours straight without a single hiccup. It's the chip for the pragmatist who knows that last year's best is still better than this year's average.